Picture this. Me, Reese Witherspoon, in London, ordering fish and chips so often they might start wrapping me in paper. I'm traveling with my Wells Fargo Autograph Journey card, so I earn rewards wherever I book travel. 5 times points with hotels, 4 times with airlines, 3 times on restaurants and other travel, and 1 point on other purchases. Imagine getting rewarded for eating a toad in the hole. Wait, what is a toad in a hole?
Visit wellsfargo.com/autograph journey. Terms apply.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi. Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
You are now diving head first into the deep end of the Stone Zone. Now, House Oversight Chairman James Comer, Republican of Kentucky, is intensifying scrutiny of the federal government's handling of Jeffrey Epstein's death, announcing plans to subpoena former prison guard Tova Noel as new details have arisen, raising major questions about what really happened inside the Metropolitan Correction Center in 2019. You'll recall that after it was declared that Jeffrey Epstein had killed himself, Epstein's family retained the noted former New York medical examiner Michael Baden, one of the most respected pathologists in the country, and it was a statement from Baden that said that the broken bones in Epstein's neck were inconsistent with the method of hanging that was ascribed to his suicide. Nonetheless, Attorney General Bill Barr was quick to insist that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. We also know, of course, that on the Thursday before his death, Epstein retained a new criminal defense attorney, David Schoen, reached terms with him, and then theoretically killed himself 2 days later. Doesn't sound very logical. Schoen has said publicly and right here in the Stone Zone that in his own conversations with Epstein insisted that he had no evidence and therefore no leverage against President Donald Trump. But among the more recent troubling findings is the fact that there was a $5,000 deposit into the bank account of prison guard Tova Noel just 10 days before Epstein died. Banks typically don't flag deposits under $10,000, yet this one triggered a suspicious activity report, something that Congressman Comer says investigators never fully examined. Comer did make clear that no one is accusing this prison guard of wrongdoing, but he says there's a lot of questions the American people still deserve answers to. I agree on that. Records showed that Noel was one of the 2 prison guards on duty the night Epstein was found dead in his cell. Instead of conducting mandatory checks, she later admitted to sleeping and shopping online and falsifying the prison logs, failures that resulted in a deferred prosecution deal against her in 2021. Computer records also showed that the prison guard searched online for updates about Epstein about 40 minutes before his body was discovered. FBI analysts reportedly flagged the search as the only notable activity on the guard's computer that morning. Chairman Comer says the Oversight Committee wants answers not just about the guard's conduct, but about the broader features surrounding Epstein's case, including why federal authorities failed to prosecute him years earlier. You'll recall that after the chief of police of the city of Palm Beach received a tip, he conducted a 6-month undercover investigation and gave the state's attorney a case involving 33 underage girls, a sex trafficking case, also a case in which Epstein could have been charged with 21 counts of statutory rape. The police chief, Michael Ryder, was shocked when the state's attorney, that's an elected position by the way, only brought a charge of solicitation against Epstein. That was after Epstein hired a dream team of criminal defense lawyers, including Leon Black, Alan Dershowitz, and others. included Ken Starr, by the way, the former special counsel who investigated the Clintons in the Whitewater matter. Comer says the Oversight Committee is going to look at all of these failures and try to determine why in 2005 Epstein was not prosecuted on much broader charges. Now, we do know anecdotally that Alex Acosta, he was the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Florida with responsibility for Palm Beach. He was asked by Police Chief Ryder to review the state's decision, and rather than provide sunlight, he rubber-stamped the state's charge and he sealed the entire case. If it were not for a prolonged legal battle by the Palm Beach Post to unseal those documents, we wouldn't know what had happened. We also know anecdotally that an attorney that I know, an attorney who is a member of the Federalist Society, an attorney whose name you would recognize if I said it now, who was involved in preparing Acosta for his confirmation hearings when he was appointed Secretary of Labor by Donald Trump. By the way, no one told President Trump that Acosta was the same man who had given Jeffrey Epstein a slap on the wrist. They had simply told him that he was a highly qualified Hispanic Republican American who was well qualified for the job. I was told at the time the president wasn't very happy about that. But when Acosta, in the practice sessions for his Secretary of Labor confirmation hearings, was asked why he had essentially just quietly sealed the Epstein case, he said, well, I'm going to tell the truth, that he worked for the agency and I was told by the Central Intelligence Agency to seal the case. I think Acosta is among those who should testify for the Oversight Committee. This has been a long time coming. The public needs some serious answers, and the prosecutions regarding this case in order for the faith in government, otherwise it will never be restored. The Democrats continue to flame out Congressman Ted Lieu, saying just openly yesterday that we're not getting full disclosure about Epstein because President Donald Trump raped children. This is the same Congressman Ted Lieu who was an intimate and who had a major donor, Ed Buck, who was in fact convicted of raping and murdering children. There's many pictures of them together. Now, this is what's called guilt by association. This is what Lieu is trying. He has no evidence tying President Donald Trump to any misconduct. There was a woman, Katie Johnson, who claimed that Donald Trump had raped her when she was 13 years old. She surfaced during the 2016 campaign. That also turned out to be a hoax, so she is now being prosecuted for those false claims. So this whole thing, in my view, has backfired very badly for the Democrats. Who was on the island? I'll tell you who was on the island. Bill Clinton was on the island. I say that because the sworn testimony of at least 3 of Epstein's victims, including Virginia Roberts Giuffre, who turned down a multi-million-dollar settlement to press forward with her lawsuit against Epstein and later the Epstein estate, said in her sworn testimony that she saw Bill Clinton on the island, that 2 17-year-old twin sisters had been flown in for Bill's amusement. And she could not testify that she had seen Clinton engage in improper activity, but that's because she was removed from the main room and directed to have sex with another one of Epstein's guests. But when she asked Epstein, this is in my 2015 book, The Clintons' War on Women, when she asked Epstein why Bill Clinton was on the island, she was told, well, Epstein chuckled, he owes me a favor. More fallout from the Epstein scandal, continued backlash over the announcement by the American Conservative Union that Steve Bannon will be a featured speaker at the 2026 Conservative Political Action conference in Washington, D.C. Now, I'm the one who convinced President Donald Trump to attend his first CPAC conference. That was back in 2011 when he was just beginning to think about a 2012 candidacy for president. But a number of important influencers across the board, Brendan Dilley, Cat Turd, many others saying that they will boycott CPAC if Bannon is indeed a featured speaker. I joined that chorus this morning because I think, given what we now know from the emails that were released by the Department of Justice, Steve Bannon, who on the air on his show The War Room, that's a title, by the way, he stole from me. That was the name of my show when I used to be at InfoWars, and continued to be the show of Owen Schroyer after I left. It is very clear that while on the air he was posing as a Trump loyalist and defender, the emails with Epstein show a very different story. He talks about removing Trump under the 25th Amendment. He calls Trump stupid. He says that Bannon, is the centerpiece of the MAGA movement, not Donald Trump. He also seeks to join Epstein's legal team, but the most disturbing thing is that Bannon is constantly coaching Epstein on the rehabilitation of his image. Now, they reportedly filmed 10 hours of video interview together, and Bannon's cover story has been that is for a documentary. Well, if there was a planned documentary, it was a documentary that was meant to be exculpatory. They were going to try to clean up Epstein's public image. I suspect that it was not, in fact, a documentary, but practice sessions for a 60 Minutes invitation that was canceled, of course, after Epstein was fired, or Epstein was arrested, pardon me. So a lot of trouble for Steve Bannon today. Also notice that the number of views for his show is down very sharply. At its height, his show at Real America's Voice used to get 150 to 170,000 views. Yesterday, the show had 7,000 views. I think that is very significant. Very significant piece in Art Voice today by investigative reporter Frank Parlato. Parlato maintains that the money that the money that Bannon was operating with after leaving the White House, which came from a Chinese source, a man named Miles Guo, was in fact CCP money, Chinese Communist Party money. It is, I checked the record on this, when Guo, the funder of Steve Bannon, was asked under oath in a lawsuit in New York whether his money came from the CCP, and about the role of a certain William G., that's G.E., who has been established as a Chinese communist operative. He pled the fifth 55 times. That does not prove, of course, that it is Chinese communist money, but it is certainly highly suspicious. It's interesting because Guo was prosecuted in a $1 billion fraud and convicted. Bannon would be an unindicted co-conspirator in that fraud. In his piece, Parlato documents the extensive involvement of Bannon, but one has to question why Bannon himself was not prosecuted.